yes.
That's just nasty.
I mean, what are they going to do? They got to say yes,
I gotta do
right?
it real good. Where's the key to the woman's restroom?
Oh my God, you sound like Buffalo Bill, dude. Can you say "put the lotion in the basket" in that voice?
Yeah, I can't hold it. Put the lotion in the basket. Put the lotion in the basket.
It's starting to creep me out, man. Good God, this guy Tyler just handed me his cell phone, and he's like,
It's sticky.
Yeah, it is. I had to peel it off his hand. It says a Rome man from Rome, Georgia, was arrested in a woman's bathroom at Calhoun Walmart, right? And this dude looks like Buffalo Bill. Look at this smug, man. Look at that guy.
Yeah, I saw that too earlier.
I don't understand why they got to harass the man, and it's law now, right?
Yeah. He's just, I mean, listen. I'll tell
Dude,
you what.
I don't believe in that. I'm joking.
I
man.
don't have problem with a
No,
woman.
is this all bathrooms? Is this middle school, grammar school, high school?
Oh, it's going all
getting
over.
there, yeah.
It's spreading like an epidemic. It's worse than Zika virus, dude.
Bro, look at Bruce Springsteen canceled a concert.
Okay, how about
Bryan
like
Adams.
Catholic schools? Do you think they'll ever have a transgender bathroom in a Catholic school?
Oh, absolutely. They're totally left to the biggest degree. I mean, they're going to turn. But Kevin just made a point there about talking about Bruce Springsteen. He canceled his concert in North Carolina.
So did Pearl Jam. So did
Bryan Adams.
Was it Bryan Adams too?
In Mississippi. So who are they really screwing? Who are they really screwing?
They're fans, man. And I bet you most of those fans are like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
they are. They're not like, "Oh yeah, I agree."
You know how they would be better off actually doing a little dialogue during their show because they got 80,000 people staring at them.
Absolutely,
they're going to get press. They're going to get their money. They're going to keep their fans happy. They're going to still merchandise.
What's next, Chuck? Are they going to just pee on stage? You know?
Listen, all these fans.
They'll probably have
Bruce
portalettes on
Springsteen.
stage, one with both symbols and one with the conjoined, the sex symbols.
All these
almost
fans
like Prince's
of
symbol.
Bruce Springsteen paid their money for the tickets, which they get reimbursed for. But many of them probably took time off of work.
Sure.
Requested time off of work.
Sure, man, yeah.
Rented a hotel room.
Absolutely.
Probably
saved for a while.
Made plans and everything else.
Yeah.
And then at the last minute, they're like, Bruce Springsteen says, that guys that want to have, pussies and dudes that want to have, tits are all, it's like, really? Really? You're going to freak
I'm
my
telling
whole
you what,
weekend
you
up?
asked Bruce Springsteen when he came out in the 70s, what do you think about the drags and down on the Jersey Shore? And he would have said, fuck them.
Yeah.
Because he's all kind of liberal and famous now. Now he's going to take this super sensitive side. I'm a musician.
Yeah.
Go back to your roots.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the show the beautiful and talented actress Vida Ghaffari. Hi, Vida. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great, and I have to say, what an honor to be on your wonderful show, and what honor that you got my name right the first time. I'm so flattered.
Wouldn't have it any other way. How are you? Thank you for calling in. We're very excited to talk to you. It's not very often that we have beautiful celebrities calling the show. It's unfortunate that such a wonderful actress like yourself happened to piggyback on what was that guy's name? Brown Eye something or whatever.
Oh, the guy that just called in.
Yeah, the guy that just called in. Anyway, yeah, we're all about having fun, Vida. So what is it? 5:30 your time over there in LA?
Yeah, it's like it's just about 5:30.
How's the weather out there?
It's broiling. It's cool for a while. I mean, but I don't know where you guys are based out of. I think it's an East Coast number. I mean, I'm originally from the East Coast, so it's cold for LA standards is nothing. Our rainy season is like 1 or 2 days of rain, and it's like El Nino, but today was broiling.
Yeah, it's actually like 82 and sunny here. We're just north of Tampa Bay, Florida.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Listen, I pulled up your resume online. I just happened to find an old resume. I don't know if it's old or new or what, but so I got a little bit of information off of that to kind of talk about. And one of the first things I wanted to ask you right off the bat is how did you get started in show business?
It's been an interesting ride for me. I wear many hats. I got started out as a journalist. I was a journalist on Capitol Hill in D.C., and I did a lot of that, but I always loved the arts. I minored in theater in college, and I minored in journalism in college. I had a very strict Persian father. He wanted me to study economics. He had a friend at the World Bank, and he's like, well, if you become an economist, there's a certain kind of tax you don't have to pay. So But he was sorely mistaken. I actually, one would have to pay the tax. So I studied economics. It was a toil for me. It was a lot of grin and bear it, and then I minored in theater and journalism, and I started doing plays in college. And I also worked at my campus radio, and I also worked at my campus newspaper. And University of Maryland is one of the largest, I think it's the largest state school, or one of the largest schools in the country. It was an agricultural college. So when you work for the school paper at Maryland, it's not like 10 people read it. And this was before, I mean, I don't mean to date myself, but before the internet age got really big. So when you work for the school paper at Maryland, it was kind of a big deal. A lot of the people that I ended up working with are very successful media people. I'm very happy for them. But that's where I got my start. I worked on Capitol Hill. I had some grants for some think tanks and did a little journalism there. And what happened was out here I was a journalist as well, and that kind of led to my foray in acting and journalism.
That's amazing, really. That's quite
acting and voiceover, rather.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. That's an amazing tidbit for such a young person. Aren't you like in your 20s?
Very kind. I'm a little bit older than I look, but I will say that I got my start really young. I started out as a journalist when I was a teenager. I didn't really get to write for my school paper, but I wrote for some community organizations. It was like Mean Girls, my high school, but it was a bunch of nerds. Yeah. So I couldn't log through working at my school paper, so I was just such a whippersnapper. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hit the local, I don't even know if they were gazettes back then, but I'm just going to hit my local papers and do that. And I've kept busy ever since. So it's very funny for me to be I'm also a blogger, and it's very funny for me because I was trained by an old-timey AP reporter guy. So it was very hard for me to adapt to blogging because blogging is pretty pictures and like keywords. So I would, write like novellas for people. So that's basically my background. As for voiceover, what started out was I was working at a Persian TV station, non-religious, non-political. I've worked at several, and it was like a Persian E-channel, if you will. It was all entertainment, and they needed somebody to do their promos, and they're very cheap. So they wanted, twice the work for half the day. So I do the promos in English because I speak good English. It's my native language. And then I do the promos in Farsi. So then I started thinking, well, maybe I should put a demo reel together. And then I put my demo reel together. I took a few classes here and there and then got representation and started doing voiceover work. So one thing would bleed into another. That's what I've noticed with my career trajectory so far. It's one thing leads to another thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Now, so you speak fluent Persian, is that right?
Yes, I speak fluent Farsi. I've never been to the Middle East, but I speak the language. My grandmother didn't know English very well, so I would learn through her and through my parents' friends and through my family.
Could I ask a favor of you?
Sure.
Could you say, you're listening to the Kevin Hawley Show in Persian? Or in Farsi?
شما دارین گوش میدین به Kevin Hawley Show.
Hell yeah!
Should I do more announcery? شما دارین گوش میدین به Kevin Hawley Show.
The inflections.
شما دارین گوش میدین به برنامه Kevin Hawley.
Oh my God, that is amazing. What was the last one you said?
German, I believe.
Translated.
Oh, you were listening to the Kevin Hawley Show.
Each time. Okay, cool. I didn't know if you were maybe saying something,
I did the American way, and then I did it like a Persian announcer lady way.
That is awesome.
So I said show, and I made it Americana, and then I did like the full-on ethnic way to say it. So I gave you two different choices, as they say in voiceover.
That's very cool. It really is. Jaybird's got a question for you. Jaybird, what's going on?
Hey, Veet, how you doing? This is Jaybird. I just want to tell you that, like, when Kevin gets on these interviews, he's, like, so nervous. He's like, oh, my God, I'm talking to somebody, So if you don't mind, I'm one that's going to just break it down a little bit. I'm just curious, are you in a relationship?
No, my relationship is to acting and voiceover and blogging. I honestly don't know when I would have the time to do such a thing. But I tip my hat to people that are in relationships. I feel like my blog is my husband, my child, my mother, my father. I've been devoting so much time to that. So no, I am not.
I'll tell you something, Vita. Every man in this room, there's 6 of us. Well, with the exception of me, because I'm a gentleman. They all have a frown on their face now. They're all like, "Aww."
No, I'm like all happy.
Jay's happy. Yeah,
I'm excited. This interview just got a bump. Can I private message you a little bit later? No, I'm just kidding, Pete.
Oh my God, hilarious! Hilarious. Joe told me you guys are a cast of characters, so very flattered, very flattered.
Yeah, I should probably throw that out there too. Joe Williamson, your publicist, has been super cool to our show. I really, really appreciate that. So I hope he's listening or maybe listens later. And what a cool guy, man.
Oh yeah, big shout out to Joe. He is so supportive. I feel like he's one of like the true representatives of goodness in Hollywood. He's such a great person. He's so on point, and I've been rep by him for 6 months, and my career is really flourishing, and I'm a lot more centered, I will say, and I believe I owe that all to Joe. So he's awesome. Big shout out to Joe. Thank you so much, Joe Williamson.
Hey, Homeless Chuck is in the house. He wants to ask you a question real quick. Keep it clean, Chuck.
Sure.
I just wanted to say good evening, and I find you a delight, your energy, and I've had a rather few interesting stumbles in my career along the ways, and I love how paths have always just unexpectedly opened up, and just like they say, one door opens another. And I tell you, I don't share what I do on the radio cast, but my path has been very similar, and I can identify with it, and I'm glad someone else out there has found the blessings and belief and just the good nature of things and how things go.
You're going to make me cry, Chuck.
No, I'm being
Oh,
honest.
it's so moving. You guys are so philosophical and profound. Thank you.
You probably wouldn't say that if you were in studio with us.
No, I mean, it was unexpected. So thank you so much. Might I add, I really appreciate being on your show. I'm very excited. I'm pleased as punched, as they say, to be guesting on your show.
It's an honor for us. It really is. We really enjoy talking to people and holding interviews like this. I have a few questions for you that I actually wrote down at my day job today and during the week. I saw that you on your resume that you worked on Jimmy Kimmel and also on Mind of Mencia. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Jimmy Kimmel was very interesting. I've been on that show a number of times, but for whatever reason, sometimes they have certain things, breaking news. I would be in the comedy sketches. And if there was breaking news, especially when President Obama was going to become president, that was not the time to do sketches on Jimmy Kimmel, because you'd be bounced back by some election issue or some candidate issue or some debate issue. But I was on Jimmy Kimmel, I believe, last summer, and I was very excited about it, but it was a very controversial sketch. It was based on a true story. In Iran, as it turns out, they have something similar to eHarmony. I don't know what it's called, and it's something like eMarriage.
Okay.
So what they do is they try to set up young people with each other. Mm-hmm. I think it's like a cross between eHarmony, because Tehran is a very vast metropolitan city, even with what's going on in the world right now.
Sure, yeah.
And 70% of the population is under 30 years old. So you can imagine, it's an explosion of young people.
It's a meat market.
So what they did is they had this website, and I think I'd say it was like Tinder, because it's not as perverse as Tinder, but it was like Tinder in that it was based on the suburb or part of Tehran that you're in. Mm-hmm. They would set up these young people. The problem with this website, it was geared towards marriage, but they're young people. So people would get on this website and they'd want to date each other, or I hate to use the word hookups, in the Islamic Republic of Iran, but the government had to shut down on it pretty much because it was so scandalous. All these guys and girls were just dating each other, non-committally dating each other.
Right, yeah.
So I guess our hookup culture has spread to the Middle East. So basically what they did was they took part of that e-marriage thing and they made me some woman who was about to get an arranged marriage, and I got switched for a goat. So they brought live goats. There was goat handlers. There was a goat handler for the mother goat. They had a little baby goat. I don't know what baby goats are called. They had the little goat thing going on. They had usually when they have these things, they have a cultural advisor. So they had the cultural advisor, which was also a translator, because even though I know Farsi, it doesn't mean that most other actors do. So in case there was, because it's an improvisational thing oftentimes, even though we have lines, they need somebody, for the lines, to help the actors. Because sometimes, even though it's a role, they have Arab American actors, or they have Latino actors, or they use Indian actors. So they had all they really invested time and money into this shoot, and they had live goats there. I mean, that's a big deal, right at the El Capitan Theater, right next to the El Capitan Theater where the studios of Kimmel are.
Yeah.
So what was incredulous to me was they went to so much work, but I knew something was not right, because when they were shooting my dialogue, and I loved it because I had the best lines because I was the woman. Usually in those eHarmony ads, when they have the testimonial, the woman talks more, right?
Yeah.
So I was doing my testimonial, and just as I was about to do my take, the guy was the writer guy goes to the director guy. He's like, I don't know, man. This is racist, misogynist, politically incorrect on so many levels. And then the director guy is like, come on, man, it's Jimmy Kimmel. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
That was right at the time where Iran was doing the deal with the U.S. for the trade. There was an embargo. They were getting rid of the embargo. They were trying to establish relations. John Kerry met with the president of Iran, so that was controversial. Also, there was all the ISIS stuff going on. So I don't think it's politically incorrectness. Maybe the network said, hey, listen,